It's July 21st,
Hey!
so around 7:35 or so, I think. I didn't check the time, but looking at the position of the sun, it's somewhere around that time. It's already below the observable horizon. Somebody seems to have knocked this plant down. Don't know quite what that's about, but that's a shame. Things happen though. I'm sure Travis or someone will come and try to push that back up again. It's a little busy. People are just hanging out here, I guess. I saw a big student crowd earlier, like lots and lots of students. Almost, it seemed like a full class of, new students. Took a video of that actually. Apart from that, I'm not sure,
Oh my god! Oh my god!
what else I want to talk about.
I will, but
Just
oh no!
a few things that are on my mind. One is that U.S. and China are meeting to discuss AI, which is always sort of, interesting.
Ow!
Apparently, they want to try and, I don't know. I simply don't believe that a arms race can actually be governed by people,
I know.
who can negotiate anything. Think about it, right? I mean, why would China give up any advantage, or why would the US give up any advantage in AI? It's just an arms race at this point. So, the fact that they're talking is, I think it's a waste of time. Worst case, it's an opportunity for China to extract more technology from the US. That's how China operates, I think. They not only do they make jokes about technology, but they also sort of they also use every diplomatic advantage to extract something from America. So I don't know if that, in that sense, that's not going to result in anything. I don't think anything substantial. It's just a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. We're much better off focusing on improving America than to worry about AI and China. What did negotiating with Russia as far as nuclear weapons? What did that ever give us? Nuclear weapons are still around, and that's what this war supposedly in Iran is about, right? So what has any agreement about nuclear weapons ever done anything to stop the AQ Khan network or stop China using proxies to, like North Korea and other places, to stop the spread of nuclear weapons? So why would suddenly China want to negotiate with America on AI? It just doesn't make sense. They're gaining foothold in other countries as of right now. Many countries are starting to use Chinese AI because it's cheaper So the fact that they want to negotiate something is just probably they want to find out what we are up to, is my best guess. Apart from that, supposedly there was some good news. I think wages were higher than inflation, supposedly. If you believe data. I don't. I don't believe data. I don't believe the inflation numbers that are published as being anything real. I don't believe the wage numbers as being real. And finally, I don't think that the job numbers are even real, so it's all sort of whether you trust the data or not. But if you trust it, and if you say, well, even the mistakes are propagated throughout the data through the last several years, is the same methodology, and the good news and the bad news are all the same methodology. There's nobody there actively manipulating the numbers. If you believe all that, then, according to published inflation, the best statement we can actually make is, according to published inflation methodology, which is very different than we used to measure inflation. According to those inflation metrics and the data we collected by polling for wages, what the trend indicated this month is that wages were slightly higher than inflation. The increase in wages, not wages. The increase in wages was slightly higher than inflation. That's, probably the best statement we can make about the current condition. I am very skeptical about both the items, about China's intentions and about our data that we collect through polling and other methods. So that's the good news. I don't know if we want to visit the bad news. I think we really don't want to get into doom scrolling, do we? I mean, good news is good news. We'll accept it with a healthy dose of skepticism. As far as, I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to make my way through Project Maven, and I just haven't found the time to actually make it through it. It's a novel by Katrina Manson. It provides a real insightful look into how a team at the Pentagon started to use or started to create what eventually ended up becoming Project Maven and Palantir, and several other companies attached to the Palantir environment. So I'm trying to make my way through it. Just haven't got around to. It's not, the book is not captivating enough for me for some reason. It really doesn't grab my attention and keeps it there. It's very sort of in-depth look at personalities and, you know, really more of a somewhat of a biographical look at all of these people who are involved in Project Maven, at least in the part that I'm looking at. And that's, for some reason, that just doesn't interest me. And the other thing is, my attention keeps getting distracted. So I'll read maybe a page of it, and then suddenly I'm distracted into doing something else. And I don't know what that is about, and I don't, so eventually I'll get through it. I'll get around to it, I guess. Today I was told to go to page 212, and out of that came a post by I think by Gemini, about that's again a memory issue. I completely have already forgotten what that post was about. I think I did 4 posts today, and I've already forgotten what the Maven post was about. That's just how my life is. It's very short term. It's short-term memory, I suppose. Very, very short-term memory, all of it. The last post I remember, because I just did it, it's about the Minab school bombing incident and how the decisions were made and how quickly the decisions were made, and what was the sort of human intervention chain within those algorithmic decisions that were being made, and how things were pressured into happening. It's unfortunately it probably was very much like a movie scene, a high pressure movie scene where there wasn't anybody attacking us. We were the ones attacking, but we had stacked on pressure to the extent that it was very dramatic. It was the JAG officer was willing to stop, apparently, according to the dramatization, was willing to stop the order because she or he noticed that the database was old, and it flashed on the screen that the database was old. And even the older database, there was a note in the older database that flagged that target was a school. So it flashed on the screen. Somebody had put a note there. In 2019, a DIA officer or a DIA analyst had put a note there specifically saying that this facility is no longer an IRGC facility, and it's been retargeted as a school. Excuse the language about retargeted as a school. It's just the way some people speak, and for those of you who know, who speaks that way. But anyway, the point is, it was very apparent to everybody in that room that the database was old, the target was likely incorrect, and it had been selected as a target based on incorrect data. And even though the percentage was 94, which in the military, 94 really means ID, it's almost like a bad ID, so the percentage of success or accuracy was 94% confidence. Even though that number flashed and was probably understood by everybody in the room to mean what it means, and even though there was a note that said, that this is a school, and a note going back to 2019, all of those things were there in the room, and the JAG officer said we can't do this, and she or he was overridden by the commanding officer in the room at that time.
I feel bad that kind of like tricking them, but
Apparently that's what happened. So I don't know, those are the whistleblower accounts. I don't know how much credibility to put into them. I don't know whether they're real, whether they're not real. I haven't read any of the stuff. I'm just going by a discussion with AI, and that's what AI told me. So with all those caveats, you know, the truth is out there somewhere.
you got it though. Okay, I gotta get
As always, I encourage people, if I'm not even sure I'm going to post this, but if I do post it, I encourage people to do their own research. Don't believe a single word I say. Don't trust me. Don't think of this as any sort of, you know, verifiable source. Just do your own research. The post on Sentient Musings does provide a link, or actually it provides a bunch of bibliography articles that you can read, and the research is out there. You can just ask AI about it, you know, and then after asking AI, you can do your own research and you can make up your own mind. Don't take this video to
I didn't drop any.
be truthful or trustable. You know, it's the truth and trust. You have to make up your own minds. This is not Fox News where I tell you that this is,
So big.
you know, that this is reality, that this is what's happening. I don't form opinions. I just put the research out there, and it's up to you to form opinions. You're an adult. You can make up your own mind about what's real and what's not, and who's at fault and who's not at fault, right? That's what we do as adults. We make up our mind. So you should do that. Anyway, it's a little past 17 minutes, almost coming on 18. I'm going to end this, you know, with a quick look around. Beautiful day. Hope you're having a great evening. Take care. Good night.